Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this scrub cap with your Cricut. Now this is a Cricut Design Space file, so I cannot share it for those of you who do not have a Cricut, but I have seen similar styles on YouTube and in other tutorials, so you can still follow along with how to make it, but you're going to have to get your pattern elsewhere. I'm just going to show you really quickly how to find the pattern in Cricut Design Space and go over a little bit of instruction there, and then we'll jump right into how to put this together. It's really beginner friendly. Don't let it scare you. It's a lot easier than I thought. So let's get started. So here in Cricut Design Space, you can see they have added the long hair scrub cap and the short hair scrub cap. I am going to be showing you this one, but they are assembled the same way. It's just this one has a little bit more extra fabric here in the bottom to accommodate a bunch of long hair to be pushed up in the scrub cap. Also, check out these new ear savers while we're here. Those are new to Cricut Design Space, and those are made to save your ears from the elastic on the mask. So kind of neat. But we're going to be making these. If you're having problems finding them, go into Cricut Design Space, click up here in the corner where you see this is called a hamburger menu. Click on that and then click the home button. Once you click the home button, you'll see my projects and then you'll see Cricut Access. And they should be right here in the bar. If I'm making this today, what is today? April 22nd. So as of April 22nd, they're right here on the home page. But if they're not, just click View All and you can search Scrub Cap. So that's where to find them. And all you're going to do, again, we're going to be making this one. So you're going to click on it. The first screen is going to give you all of the directions. There's a little print button here if you want to print these out and follow along with the directions. I pretty much followed it word for word. I kind of shortcut a little bit just because I do it more assembly style. But it's assembled exactly the way they tell you to. So if you want to print this out so that you have some printable instructions, that is amazing. Like I said, we're going to be making the short hair scrub cap. So this is designed to be cut out with the Cricut Maker. But if you have a Cricut Explorer, just cut out the pieces in cardstock, and then you can use that as a pattern and hand cut around them. They're very simple shapes. They're very easy to cut, a hand cut. So you can just cut it out in cardstock and then use a pen, trace around your fabric and cut it out by hand. Or you could just cut it out and then use a rotary cutter and just cut right around your pattern. So however you want to do it, you can do this with the Maker or the Explorer. Of course, if you have the Cricut Maker, you can have it cut all of your fabric pieces for you. So without further ado, let's get started and I'm going to show you how to put this together. So this is going to be the front of the hat. This will be the part that goes across the forehead. And then these are going to be the ties. So you're going to take two of your ties and one of your head wrap pieces. You're going to flip this pretty side together and you're going to meet up the wide end with the side of the headpiece. You're going to fold this tail in and then you can pin or clip this into place. I'm just using some Wonder Clips. If you want to use straight pins, absolutely do so. All right, now you're going to take your other tie piece, flip it over pretty sides together and meet this end up. Pin or clip that into place. So now we have both of our ties attached to our head wrap. We're going to do the same thing on our other piece. So we take our other two ties. We're going to take our head wrap. We're going to flip this pretty sides together, meet up those straight edges, pin or clip that into place. Take this one, flip it over, pretty sides together, move our tail out of the way, meet up those straight edges, and pin or clip this into place. So you should have both pieces like this. You're going to take that over to your sewing machine. You're going to sew with a 1/4 inch seam allowance just down both of those sides. Make sure that you backstitch at the beginning and the ending of all your stitches. So a 1/4 inch seam allowance on this end, this end, this end, and this end. Now you've created two long strips. You can see I went ahead and pressed my seam allowances open. You want to press both of those seam allowances open. The next thing we're going to do is take a fabric marker and we're going to measure 3 inches from this seam line. So I'm just going to measure over, I'm putting this right on the seam line, 1, 2, 3 inches. And this is just going to help us here in a minute. And I'm just going to mark a line right down there. This is a Pilot friction pen. This is erasable with an iron. And then we're going to do the same thing on this end. So here's our seam. I'm going to put the 3-inch line right on the seam. And I'm measuring towards the tail. And I'm just going to make a mark at 3 inches. Same on this piece. 3 inches. Go down to this one. 3 inches. All right, so now what we need to do is establish the center point on this. So we're going to fold it in half. And you want to be pretty precise here. I'm just going to fold this in half, make sure everything is lined up. Your seam should be lining up perfectly, just like that. What I find easiest to do is just make a very small snip, very small, just to mark that center point. All right, I'm going to do the same thing to this piece. I'm going to fold it in half. Make sure everything's lined up. I'm just going to make a very small snip right in that corner. So now I have my center point established right there on each piece. So we're going to put one of these aside and we're going to grab one of our head pieces. And you're going to see it's shaped like this. You have a point at the bottom, rounded sides, and kind of some edges right here. We're going to fold this in half so that that point is perfectly straight. Your edges are lined up. And again, I'm just going to make a very small snip to establish my center point. Just like that. So there's my center point. I'm going to do the same thing to this piece. So now you want to take one of your head pieces and one of your band pieces, and you're going to match up those center marks. And now you can start pinning or clipping this into place. You're just going to work your way around the headpiece. And actually I find when you're going around curves that it's probably better, for at least for me, to use the straight pins over clips. Just keeps everything in place a little bit better, in my opinion. Especially when going around curves. So you're just going to keep working your way all the way around the mask until you get to that 3-inch line that we just made. And all of the instructions to this are in the, when you click Make It in Cricut Design Space, it's going to walk you through each step. So you're going to pin all the way around until you get to this 3-inch mark that we made earlier. And that's our sign to stop sewing. So you can stop pinning right there. That's going to be my final mark. So go ahead and pin this side. And again, you're only going to pin down to that 3-inch line and stop. That's your stopping point. You're not going to sew past there. So now you want to go ahead and repeat that with your other headpiece. and head wrap. So we're gonna put those pretty sides together, matching that center notch that we made. You're going to continue to clip it all the way around until you get to that 3-inch mark and stop, both sides. So once you have all your pieces pinned together, you're going to take it over to the sewing machine. You're going to backstitch at the beginning and the end of your stitches, and you're going to stitch with a 1/4-inch seam allowance all the way around from line to line on both pieces. So we're going to start backstitch all the way around, stop at your line, and backstitch. Do that to both pieces and meet me back here. All right, once you have that done, it should be looking something like this. If you don't have pinking shears, you want to go around your curves and cut some slits, small V's, into your seam allowance. That's just going to help everything lay nicely. I have pinking shears, so I just find it quicker to just go in with my pinking shears and cut around those curves. So you want to do that all the way around your rounded seam that you just made. Make sure that you don't cut into your seam. All right, so now it's time to start putting these together. So what you're going to do is put one of them like this so that it's kind of like a bowl with sides, just like that. And then you're going to take the other one and flip it wrong side out. So you're putting pretty side to pretty side, and you're going to line this up. Now, if you line up your points and get this setting right inside, and you can line up these side seams. They should be perfect since we are close to, since we measured. So you're just nesting those right inside each other. Matching up those seams. And what you're going to do now is start clipping everything together. So what I like to do is start right here in this corner, and I'm just matching up those seams. And again, I think I'm going to go with pins, at least for this part. And I'm going to clip it together. So I've got a pin right here and a pin right here, making sure that those seams are coming together. That corner right there is coming together. So hopefully you can see those 2 pins. And then go ahead and finish clipping all the way down, and I might just use, Wonder Clips for this part. I'm not too worried about this part shifting on me. I love Wonder Clips, but they can get bulky. They can get hung up on your machine as you're sewing and throw you off. So we're just going to work our way around. When you get up here, these 2 seams should be meeting up. I'm going to put a straight pin in there. That's a checkpoint for me. So keep working your way around, pinning these together, or clipping them, whatever you want to do. I think as I go around this curve, I'm going to use straight pins. Just to give me a little bit more insurance that it's not going to shift. And if everything's working out, when you work your way back over here, these two seams should be meeting up. They are. I'm going to go down here and make sure that this part is matched up, and it is. I'm going to pin that. And then finish pinning my ties. So now we have everything pinned all the way around the head wrap. So what we're going to do is mark a spot that we can turn everything right side out. So we've got to leave an opening. So what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to leave it down here. It's going to be easier to hide the seam if it's not perfect when it's done, because the ties are going to hide this anyway. So I'm just going to leave a mark down here, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches to turn this right side out. And I'm not going to sew in here. So just to remind me not to sew through there. So what we're going to do is start at this stitch, or this mark. We're going to back stitch, so down, up, and all the way around the perimeter of the scrub cap. Back down this tie, back up, and we're going to stop and back stitch right here. So one more time, you're just going to start here, go around, down your ties, up, around, back, and stop right here. 1/4 inch seam allowance, back stitch at the beginning and the end. All right, so now it's looking something like this. I've sewn all the way around. I have this opening right here. So next thing we want to do is trim off all of our corners and clip our curves. So anywhere that you have a straight corner, I'm just going to clip off that corner. Make sure you don't cut your seams, obviously. And then you want to clip your curves again. So I'm going to go ahead and use my pinking shears. Again, you can just snip into it with scissors if you don't have pinking shears, but I love using my pinking shears for this. Take a little. All right, once you have your edges clipped around your curves again, what you're going to do is reach inside that opening that we had and flip everything right side out. You're going to have to go all the way down these ties, and I find that's where I start. So I'm going to go all the way down to the tie and pull that through. And then I'm going to work my way down to the other tie. And pull that through. And then work the rest of the scrub cap through. All right, you're going to want to take a chopstick, a bone folder, whatever you like to use, and poke out your corners. You can even use the edge of your pen. You could use a paintbrush, whatever you have. I like to use a bone folder. So I'm just going to go down to the edge of this cap, or the ties, and just push those out. Make sure I have nice straight corners. Nothing's bunched up. Great. All right. I'll go down here to where that tip was. Make sure that's pushed out. All right, so now we're going to start forming this into shape. So you're going to find your seam and kind of roll everything back out where it goes. And now I would suggest you take it over to the iron, give it a nice press, try to keep the seam right along the top. When you press it, push the raw edges in your opening right here and close that up. And then give that a nice press and meet me back here. All right, once you have everything pressed into place, it's going to look like a scrub cap. So you can see right here, I just clipped, this is where that opening is, and that's just to remind me when I go through there to make sure everything's lined up nicely and that I continue my top stitch in a way that closes that up and everything's aligned. So what you're going to do now is repeat the stitches that we just did as a final top stitch. So we're going to top stitch from here all the way around, around, all the way back up, around, back up, and stop. When you do that, it'll close up this opening and you'll have a nice finished scrub cap. So go ahead and again, you're going to stitch from here all the way up, around, back up your tie, and finish. Back stitch at the beginning and the end. So when you're all done, it'll look something like this. You probably want to use a thread that matches your fabric. I used white so that you can see it, but you can see I took that top stitch all the way around the perimeter of the hat, and that's it. So here's the scrub cap. Now this is the short hair version. They do have a long hair version that holds all the hair up in the cap. So but you put it together exactly the same way. It's just got more fabric back here to encompass all of your hair up in the scrub cap. So these are both in Cricut Design Space. These aren't my patterns. They're in Cricut Design Space. They loaded those up. I just noticed them today. They've also put some face mask clips in there too. So you guys might want to check those out. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to click that bell so that you're notified every time there's a new video. I can't wait to see your scrub caps. Make sure you post them in the Cricut groups. See you guys. Bye-bye.